The Celestial Harmony was humanity's first deep space diplomatic vessel, a gleaming testament to Earth's newfound place among the galactic community. For David Chen, chief xenobiological liaison, the ship represented both opportunity and isolation, a contradiction he'd grown comfortable with over 3 years of service. Anna K. Arthix was a problem he hadn't anticipated. The Valorian female had been assigned as cultural exchange officer 6 months prior, her iridescent blue skin and luminescent neural crests marking her as one of the galaxy's most advanced species. Valorians possessed telepathic abilities that made them natural diplomats, capable of sensing emotional states and fostering understanding between disparate civilizations. They were also, David had learned, remarkably persistent. Liaison Chen, her melodic voice echoed through the biodome where David tended Earth's botanical specimens. You missed the 3rd consecutive cultural symposium. David didn't look up from the tomato plant he was pruning. My report will be filed by 800 hours as always. That is not the point. Anna's footsteps whispered against the synthetic grass. Her species moved with an ethereal grace that made human locomotion seem clumsy by comparison. Why do you keep avoiding me, human? There it was, the question she'd been circling for weeks, dressed in increasingly direct phrasing. David set down his pruning shears and finally met her gaze. Her eyes were twin galaxies of violet and gold, swirling with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed her emotional state. Confusion, hurt, curiosity. I'm not avoiding you specifically, David said carefully. I maintain professional distance from all crew members. A diplomatic falsehood. Anna tilted her head, her neural crests flaring slightly. You share meals with Commander Yuki. You engage in recreational activities with the engineering team. You debate philosophy with Dr. Okonkwo during night shifts. She moved closer and David caught the faint scent of ozone and something floral, the Valorian biochemical signature. But when I approach, you retreat. When I extend invitations, you decline. When our duties bring us together, you complete your tasks with maximum efficiency and minimum interaction. David exhaled slowly. This was the conversation he'd been dreading, the one that required him to articulate truths that most humans instinctively understood, but the galaxy found baffling. May I show you something? He asked. Anna's crests rippled with surprise, but she nodded. David led her through the biodome to a sealed environmental chamber. Inside, a single rose bush bloomed in carefully controlled conditions. Temperature, humidity, light spectrum, and soil composition all precisely calibrated. This is Rosa damascena, David explained. One of Earth's most ancient cultivated flowers, beautiful, fragrant, significant in dozens of human cultures. He gestured to the monitoring equipment. It requires specific conditions to thrive. Too much heat, it wilts. Too much water, the roots rot. The wrong soil pH and it produces no flowers. Anna studied the rose with polite interest, but her confusion remained evident in the subdued pulsing of her crests. Valorians possess the most sophisticated empathic abilities in known space, David continued. Your people achieved interstellar travel 2 millennia before humans left their solar system. Your civilization has no concept of war, poverty, or fundamental inequality. You resolved these issues through telepathic consensus building 3,000 years ago. These are facts well documented in the Galactic Archive, Anna said slowly, but I fail to see. You're standing in a room where I can barely tolerate your presence, David interrupted, his voice soft but firm. And I mean that with no disrespect whatsoever. Anna's crests flattened against her skull, a Valorian expression of shock. David pressed on. Your empathic field extends approximately 15 meters in all directions. Within that radius, you unconsciously broadcast and receive emotional data. It's as natural to you as breathing is to me. But humans, Anna, we didn't evolve with that adaptation. We evolved with psychological barriers, privacy, secrets. The ability to smile while feeling sad, to show confidence while experiencing doubt. He gestured to the rose again. We're like this plant. We need specific conditions to thrive, and one of those conditions is the ability to maintain our internal emotional landscape separate from the external world. It's not deception. It's survival architecture built over millions of years of evolution. Anna remained silent, her bioluminescent patterns shifting to colors David had never seen before, calculating, processing. When you're near me, David said quietly, I feel exposed. Not in a violating way, you're not intrusive. But I feel your presence in my emotional space the way I'd feel someone constantly touching my arm. It's not painful, but it's persistently uncomfortable. Every conversation with you requires active mental effort to maintain boundaries that should be automatic. I did not realize. Anna's voice was barely audible. In Valorian culture, emotional transparency is the foundation of trust. We consider it the highest form of intimacy and respect. To shield one's emotions is to suggest dishonesty or hostility. I know, David said. I've read all the cultural briefings. That's why I've been trying to handle this delicately. I didn't want to offend you or create a diplomatic incident, but you asked for honesty. Anna moved to the environmental chamber's viewing panel, her reflection ghostly in the reinforced glass. Among my people, when someone avoids emotional connection, it indicates either fear or contempt. I had been attempting to determine which you felt toward me. Neither, David said. I feel self-protective, the same way I'd feel self-protective if your species communicated by sharing blood samples, or if your cultural greetings involved exchanging detailed medical histories. It's not about you as an individual, Anna. It's about fundamental incompatibilities in how our species experience personhood. The Valorian was quiet for a long moment. The biodome's environmental systems hummed softly around them, maintaining the delicate balance of Earth-origin life in the void of space. On Valor Prime, Anna finally said, we have a concept called Kr-Thana. It translates poorly, but it means approximately the necessary distance between different forms of light, so they may each be seen clearly rather than blending into indistinct whiteness. David felt something in his chest unclench slightly. That's surprisingly applicable. Valorians are not as inflexible as you might think, Anna said, turning to face him. Her crests had settled into a calm, neutral configuration. We achieved our telepathic consensus not by eliminating difference, but by learning to honor it. But I confess, humans present a unique challenge. Your species simultaneously craves connection and requires isolation. You seek understanding but maintain secrets. You are contradictory. We are, David agreed. We're still figuring ourselves out, Anna. We've had space travel for barely a century. We joined the galactic community a decade ago. Most of our planet is still grappling with the reality of alien life. And individually, we're trying to navigate relationships with species whose fundamental experiences of consciousness are radically different from our own. Anna approached him slowly, stopping just outside the range where her empathic field would become overwhelming. The gesture was deliberate, careful, a bridge offered with full understanding of the chasm it spanned. I apologize, she said formally. I have been operating under Valorian assumptions about the nature of avoidance and connection. I did not consider that human psychology might function according to entirely different principles. And I apologize for not explaining sooner, David replied. I was trying to avoid exactly this conversation because I knew it would be uncomfortable, which, ironically, made everything more uncomfortable. Anna's crests rippled with what David had learned to recognize as Valorian amusement. A very human solution, avoiding discomfort by creating more discomfort. We're excellent at that, David admitted with a slight smile. Perhaps, Anna said carefully, we could negotiate a Kr-Thana, a proper distance that allows us to work together without causing you distress. I'd like that, David said. And for what it's worth, I do value your expertise and your presence on this ship, just at a range of approximately 15.1 meters. Anna's laugh was like crystal chimes in solar wind. I will recalibrate my expectations accordingly. As she turned to leave, she paused at the biodome entrance. David, thank you for the honesty. In Valorian culture, we say that the hardest truths are the ones that require both parties to change in order to understand them. We have a similar saying, David replied, though ours involves growing pains. After Anna departed, David returned to his tomato plants, but he found himself considering the rose in its controlled environment with new perspective. Perhaps isolation wasn't the only answer. Perhaps humans could learn to thrive in proximity to species like the Valorians, not by abandoning their need for emotional privacy, but by clearly articulating where those boundaries existed. The galaxy was vast, containing countless species with countless ways of experiencing existence. Humanity's path through it would require not just technological advancement or diplomatic skill, but the courage to say, "This is who we are. This is what we need. Can we find a way to coexist that honors both our natures?" It was, David reflected, the most human question imaginable, and perhaps the most important one humanity could ask. 3 weeks later, Anna submitted a proposal for redesigning crew interaction protocols aboard deep space vessels. It included recommendations for empathic buffer zones, cultural sensitivity training regarding emotional privacy, and architectural designs that accommodated species with different proximity requirements. The proposal was approved unanimously. And when David passed Anna in the corridors now, they maintained exactly 15.1 meters of distance and exchanged genuine smiles across the gap.